The conference room fell silent as Emma Hart watched the glass door swing open. Her breath caught in her throat, her pen slipping from trembling fingers and clattering against the mahogany table. Standing in the doorway, dressed in an impeccably tailored charcoal suit, was the last person she ever expected to see again. Daniel Park. The same Daniel Park she had publicly humiliated 15 years ago in front of the entire cafeteria at Riverside High School. The same Daniel Park whose confession of love she had laughed at, calling him a nobody who would never amount to anything. And now, as fate would have its cruel revenge, he was standing before her as the new CEO of Morrison and Associates, the company where she had fought tooth and nail to become senior marketing director. Her world tilted on its axis as their eyes met, and in that fraction of a second, she saw everything flash across his face: recognition, surprise, and something else she couldn't quite place. Something that made her stomach drop even further than it already had. If you believe in second chances, in the power of redemption, and in the possibility that our past mistakes don't have to define us forever, please hit that like button, drop a comment below sharing your thoughts, and subscribe to this channel. Your support means everything, and this story is just beginning. Emma had built her entire adult life trying to forget who she used to be. The popular girl, the cheerleader who thought the world revolved around her perfectly styled hair, and the quarterback boyfriend who drove a BMW his parents bought him. She had been cruel without even realizing it, wearing her privilege like armor and her beauty like a weapon. Daniel had been different back then, overweight, wearing thick glasses that constantly slid down his nose, always buried in books about business and technology while others partied. He was the kid everyone overlooked, the one who ate lunch alone while sketching business plans in worn notebooks. When he had approached her that day, flowers trembling in his hands and hope shining in his eyes, she hadn't seen his courage. She had only seen an opportunity to elevate her own status by tearing someone else down. The memory of his face crumbling as her friends erupted in laughter had haunted her for years, though she had spent most of her 20s trying to drink and party those memories away. Life had not been kind to Emma after high school. Her quarterback boyfriend left her for someone else the moment they got to college. Her parents, whose wealth she had flaunted, lost everything in a business scandal when she was 23. Suddenly, the girl who had never worked a day in her life was waiting tables, sleeping on friends' couches, and learning the bitter taste of humility one shift at a time. She had clawed her way through community college while working 2 jobs, then transferred to a state university, where she finally discovered her talent for marketing. Every promotion, every success, every late night spent proving her worth had been driven by a desperate need to become someone different, someone better than the shallow, cruel girl she had been. But standing in that conference room, watching Daniel take his seat at the head of the table, she realized that no amount of reinvention could erase the past. The meeting proceeded like a fever dream. Daniel's voice, now deep and confident, filled the room as he outlined his vision for the company. Gone was the stuttering, nervous boy she remembered. In his place was a man who had clearly transformed himself through sheer determination and brilliance. He had graduated top of his class from Stanford, built and sold 2 successful tech startups before 30, and now, at 33, was being brought in to rescue Morrison and Associates from the brink of bankruptcy. Emma forced herself to focus on his words, rather than the panic rising in her chest. He spoke about innovation, about bringing humanity back into corporate culture, about second chances and redemption. Each word felt like it was aimed directly at her, though his eyes never lingered on her face longer than anyone else's. After the meeting, Emma remained frozen in her chair while others filed out, their excited chatter about the new CEO fading down the hallway. She couldn't move, couldn't breathe. How could she work under him? How could she look him in the eye every day knowing what she had done? Her mind raced through possibilities: resignation, transfer, perhaps even career change. Anything to avoid the judgment she surely deserved. But then she thought of her son, waiting at her mother's small apartment. 7-year-old Marcus, whose father had abandoned them before he was born, who depended on her salary for everything, from food to his dream of attending art classes. She couldn't just run away anymore. She had made herself a promise when Marcus was born: no more running from consequences, no more taking the easy way out. The weeks that followed were torture of the most exquisite kind. Daniel was everything a CEO should be: Visionary, fair, demanding, but supportive. He held one-on-one meetings with every department head, and when Emma's turn came, she walked into his office with her resignation letter hidden in her portfolio. She had practiced her speech 100 times, but before she could begin, Daniel spoke. His voice was gentle, almost sad. He told her he had reviewed her work over the past 5 years at Morrison and Associates, that her campaigns had been innovative and effective, that she had clearly worked incredibly hard to get where she was. He said nothing about high school, nothing about that terrible day. He simply asked her to lead the company's most important rebranding initiative, a project that could make or break Morrison and Associates' future. Emma left his office in shock, the resignation letter still hidden away, feeling more confused than ever. She threw herself into the project with everything she had, working 18-hour days, perfecting every detail. But Daniel's kindness gnawed at her. It would have been easier if he had been cold, if he had taken revenge, if he had fired her or humiliated her the way she had humiliated him. His grace was unbearable. One evening, as rain pounded against the office windows and most employees had gone home, Emma found herself standing outside Daniel's office. Before she could lose her courage, she knocked. When he looked up from his computer, surprised to see her, everything she had been holding back for months came pouring out. She told him everything, how ashamed she was, how that moment had haunted her, how she had spent 15 years trying to become someone worthy of forgiveness. She told him about losing everything, about her son, about learning the hard way that kindness mattered more than popularity. That character was built in how we treated people when they couldn't do anything for us. Tears streamed down her face as she apologized, not expecting forgiveness, just needing him to know that she knew how wrong she had been, how deeply sorry she was. Daniel listened in silence until she finished. Then he did something that broke her completely. He smiled, a genuine, warm smile that reached his eyes. He told her he had forgiven her years ago, that her cruelty had actually been a gift in disguise. It had fueled his determination to succeed, not out of spite, but to prove to himself that his worth wasn't determined by people who couldn't see it. He had built his success on the foundation of that rejection, using the pain to develop empathy for others, to create companies that valued substance over superficiality. He told her that the Emma he had researched before taking this position, the woman who had risen from nothing, who was raising a son alone while excelling in her career, who mentored younger employees and fought for ethical marketing practices, was someone completely different from the girl in high school. He said he didn't hire her despite their past. He hired her because her journey showed exactly the kind of character and resilience Morrison and Associates needed. His only question was whether she could forgive herself. If this story has touched your heart in any way, if you believe that people can change and grow from their mistakes, please take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Sometimes the stories we need most are the ones that remind us we're all capable of becoming better. In that moment, something shifted inside Emma. She realized that she had been carrying her past like chains, letting shame define her even as she tried to become someone different. Daniel's forgiveness didn't erase what she had done, but it offered her something more valuable, the permission to accept that growth and change were real, that she wasn't forever bound to be the worst version of herself. Over the following months, they developed not a romance, but something deeper, a mutual respect and genuine friendship built on honesty and shared understanding. Emma led the rebranding initiative to stunning success, and when she presented the campaign to the board, Daniel's quiet pride in her work felt better than any accolade she had ever received. Before we conclude, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Have you ever reconnected with someone from your past and discovered how much both of you had changed? Drop your story below. The story of Emma and Daniel became something of a legend at Morrison and Associates, though only they knew the full truth of it. It became a reminder that our worst moments don't have to define us, that sometimes the people we hurt the most can become our greatest teachers, and that grace, both given and received, has the power to transform everything. Emma never forgot the girl she used to be, but she stopped letting that girl dictate who she could become. And Daniel, who had every right to bitterness, chose instead to see potential where others saw only past mistakes. Their story wasn't about revenge or karma or even romance. It was about something far more powerful, the extraordinary courage it takes to forgive, to change, and to believe that redemption is always possible when we're brave enough to face our truths. Sometimes the person we most need to become isn't the one who never makes mistakes, but the one who learns, grows, and becomes living proof that our darkest chapters don't have to be the end of the story.